Greetings to one and all present over here. It gives me immense warmth and great pleasure to grace all of your presence in the interest of the entire Sikasa family. It gives me privilege to be mentoring the most esteemed personalities, C.A. Jagdeep sir and C.A. Jagdish. Seminars are organized and conducted for the general audience to gain insight and information that would remain effective in their life. The topic for discussion for today's seminar is Companies Act and Notice on GST. Before we begin the seminar, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who are sincerely committed to this event to make it a success. I ensure the seminar will be profitable and fruitful to everyone. Thank you all.
Now I request Ratnapriya ma'am to welcome Jagdish sir and Jagdeep sir. Now I request everyone to please stand up and pay due respect to Ashleigh Motherson. by watering the plants. Now I request Chetan to escort our speaker of the day, CA Jagdish Kumar sir, and introduce him to our audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chetan, and I'm here to introduce our today's first speaker, K. Jagdish Kumar. I am a chartered accountant who qualified his CA in November 2012. He is non-commerce background and BBM graduate from Gulbarga University. He secured All India rank number 45 in CMA Inter. He did his articleship MS Badri and Co. Ballari. He also has 10 years post-articleship experience in the field of audit, Companies Act, Service Act, Income Tax and GST. After completing articleship, he has joined as employee and after CA exams results as consultant in MS Bagrecha and Singli, and thereafter since 2018 partner in the same firm. He is qualified TISA in year 2019. He is enthusiastic, sharing knowledge with CA family and eager to help CA students in subjects of law and taxation. Welcome.
ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಿ ಪಿ ಟಿ ಸರ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡು ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮೇಲೆ
ಫ್ರೀಸ್
ಫ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ
ಫ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಫ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jagdish.
पास करिए इंट्रोडक्शन को डायरेक्ट फर्स्ट
Today's present topic deposits under Companies Act 2013. First of all, we'll brief the what is mean by deposit and poison in brief. After that, we'll go in detail. Any amount received by company, it is a deposit under the Companies Act 2013. First of all, this provision will applicable only to companies because it is gone by Companies Act 2013. They given some list excluding that everything will fall under deposit definition. In every act, normally section 2 will be the definition. It will be content definition. In same way, in Companies Act also, Section 2 deals with definitions. In 2 subsection 31 defines what is meant by deposits. It is a inclusive definition, just like in income tax, but in 231, same way, deposit also here inclusive definition they given. If anything not covered also, it is a deposit only. Just I will read out that this one. Deposit includes any receipt of money by way of deposit or loan or any other form by company, but does not include such categories of amount as may be prescribed in consultation with RBI. Means anything received by company, normally it is a deposit. Only list is given, exceptional list. Only that that is not a deposit. That list is given in coming slides. There is a huge penalty under Companies Act for non-compliance of this provision. Minimum, 1 lakh to 10 lakh on company and 25 lakh to 2 crores on every officer of the company. So very important provision under Companies Act 13. Okay. This provision will applicable to all company except banking company, NBFC, like Bajaj Finance, all that, and housing finance company, and such a company as central government may specify after consultation with RBI. Means the provisions of deposit rules will applicable to all companies, including public, private, all companies, excluding this. What are that? Banking company, NBFC, housing finance, and such a company as may specified by the government in consultation with RBI. That exclusion list is given in the form of Rule 21C. Normally, all amount will fall under deposit, excluding these items. If company received any money other than this, then it is a deposit. Once if it is a deposit, penal provision will applicable. So we should be very careful. So first, amount received from government, that is not a deposit. Government includes state, central, and local authority. Means company receives any money from government, that is not a deposit. And statutory authority constituted under the Act of Parliament, just like our institute is in a CA institute. If any amount received from institute also, not a deposit. And any other source where repayment is guaranteed by the government. If any amount is guaranteed by the government, that amount received by the company, that is not a deposit. This is all exclusion list. Amount from foreign government, foreign or international banks, all are not a deposit. Any amount received by company from foreign government, foreign or international banks, it is not a deposit. Loan from banking companies, including cooperative banks. Wherever you don't find any this one meaning and all, just be interactive. Then only easy to us. Loan from banking company. As you know, everyone difference between banking company and cooperative bank. Anyone? Difference between banking and cooperative bank, or banks and cooperative bank. In cooperative bank, the main objective is to provide service within the members. Normally in these banks, there is a motive of profit turning. Not even outside member also. In this bank, they participate. Loan from public financial institution. This is also not a deposit. Like example, LIC. LIC is a public financial institution which collects fund in the form of premium from public, and it invests in various companies, including stock market. So, loan from public finance institution also not a deposit. Whatever appearing in this is not a deposit. Other than this, are deposit. Okay. Any amount received against issue of commercial paper. Then what is the meaning of commercial paper? Be interactive. I'm also just like student only. Correct. Issue. Correct. Whenever there is a crunch, there is a short-term fund necessity, the company issues commercial paper, just like promissory note. The money whatever required, it will rise by issuing a commercial note, and that money used for serving that temporary purpose, like payment to creditors, payment to salaries, only short-term. That is commercial paper. When we know meaning, we will get knowledge of full version. So intercompany or corporate loans. Any company loan given to another company, not a deposit. Company to company always exempt. This is all come under 21C. Into 21C. Share application money received by the company. Within 60 days, the company should allot shares to subscribers. If not, after the expiry of 60 days, within 15 days, the company should repay the amount. After the expiry of 60 plus 15, company not did anything, then it will become deposit and penal provision will applicable. How much I said penalty for non-compliance of these deposits? Initially I said on company minimum once year to 10 years, and on every officer of the company 25 to 2 crores. So very rigorous provisions in Companies Act 13. Since every point also important. Any amount received from a person who at the time of receipt of amount was a director of the company. Here Act says only at the time of receipt of money he should be director. Means not thereafter. Suppose in 2020 I received loan from director. He is a director at that time. But in 2022 he left the company. He resigned the directorship. Even though that is not a deposit. Means at the time of receipt he should be director. For private company, one more relaxation is given. Relativity of director of the private company also, they can give money to company. For public company, not there. Only for private company. Only the director should give declaration that it is my own fund, not borrowed from someone else. It is my own fund given to company. That declaration should be given at the time of giving money to company. And one more thing, that that detail we should disclose in board report or director report. If anything gets done, just let me know. Just amount raised by issue of bonds or debenture. Earlier we seen commercial paper. It is short term. Then it is long term. Bonds and debentures. For this, there is a provision. I made it in brief for listed company and unlisted company. Listed means which is listed in SEBI, stock exchange, Sensex and TNS. Unlisted means all unlisted company. For unlisted company, that should be convertible into shares within 10 years, and it should be secured. Means on company assets, it has a security, and first charge it has a first charge on company. For listed, non-convertible, not secured, not a deposit. Amount received from an employee of the company not exceeding his annual salary. Any amount received from employee not exceeding his annual salary. Suppose this year his annual salary 8 lakhs, up to 8 lakh company can borrow from employee. Suppose next year his package is 10 lakhs, only 2 lakh company can accept to maximum to the extent of salary. Any non-interest bearing amount received and held in a trust. Sometimes the company accepts some amount as a security deposit or some amount held in trust as a trustee or custodian. That amount also not a deposit. Example, when company is hiring some person, for security reason, company takes 1 lakh as a deposit from that employee. It is not a deposit. Any amount received in the course of or for the purpose of business. Normally up to 365 days, any advance received for supply of goods or providing service and provided within that period and appropriated that amount, then not a deposit. There is a time limit of 365 days. Any advance amount received, it should be appropriated against that advance within 365 days. In case of any dispute, the time limit is not applicable. If someone given advance to company, again he asks for advance back, company are not ready to give that advance, then the concerned person went to court for filing of case. In that case, there is a dispute. For that time, that type of cases, there is no time limit. 365 days limit is not there. For normal business transaction, 365 days. For any immovable property, suppose company having any land, building, plant and machinery, anything like that, and made an agreement for selling of that land, for that company received any amount as an advance, it is also not a deposit. For consideration for an immovable property. You are clear? As a security deposit for performance of contract or supply of goods, this is also not a deposit. Whatever it is there in list, this is all are exclusions. Other than this are inclusive. Means it is a deposit. Any advance received under long-term project for supply of capital goods, except those covered under class B, means other than immovable property. Suppose some client came to company, they want to specific machinery, means long-term project, and that is a capital good. That any amount received for that also not a deposit. Any advance towards consideration for providing future service in form of warranty. Suppose normally some electronic items they will give warranty for 5 years. For that warranty, company will receive amount immediately, but service is yet to provide. In clause A, we see in 365 days cut off date. But in case of warranty, the time limit is up to 5 years. Up to 5 years, not a deposit. Any advance received and as allowed by any sectoral regulator in accordance with direction of state, central or state government. Sectoral regulators, just like SEBI, it is regulating all the stock market, money market, all that. If any amount received from sectoral regulator in accordance with the direction of the central or state government, that amount also not a deposit. As an advance for subscription towards publications, some magazines, print or electronic media, any advance amount received, that is also not a deposit. Amount brought by the promoters. Who is the promoter? Promoter means who is involved in incorporation of the company. If any bank stipulates any condition that to maintain margin, if any promoter bring that amount that is not a deposit. Suppose bank says I will sanction 1 crore, but promoter should bring 25 lakhs as a margin money. In that case also, that amount not a deposit until closure of that loan. If that loan is exist for 5 years, until closing of that loan, that amount not a deposit. Whatever brought by the promoter, it is not a deposit. If loan is closed, the amount should be repaid to promoter. If not paid, then it is a deposit and penal provision will apply. Amount accepted by Nidhi company. Normally this one PF and ESI, some bodies are there. Whatever amount received by that kind of companies is not a deposit. Public provident fund. Amount accepted by chit fund company, that is also not a deposit. Margadashi chit, money chits, that all that companies receive money from public for subscription of chit amount, that is also not a deposit. Amount accepted by collective investment scheme company. Some people having a common interest, they pool money and that money raised by the company and that money again reinvested in some other ventures. That also not a deposit. it should be in accordance with the SEBI guidelines, that company or that company operations. Amount received by startup companies. Any amount received by the startup company, 25 lakh and more, minimum 25 lakh and more, that too should be received in single transaction, not part. 5 lakh, not like that, minimum 25 lakh. And that should be converted into equity shares within 10 years, or it should be repaid. Both option is given to startup company. Either it should be converted within 10 years as an equity share, or it should be repaid. If these conditions are satisfied, then it is not a deposit. If not, it is a deposit. Any amount received by company from funds registered as per SEBI regulation, from mutual fund company, domestic venture capital fund, alternative investment fund, from any from these companies, if we receive any amount, it is also not a deposit. Accepting deposit, deposit from members, it is allowed to both public and private companies. Public deposits, it is applicable to only public companies having a turnover more than 500 CR, equal as 500 CR, and net worth 100 CR. Members, anyone tell who is member? Member or shareholder? Yes, sir. Share. Any amount received from member also exempt, but they specified some conditions here. First, they should pass ordinary resolution in general meeting. I am given green color, that is means that is applicable to private company only. Other condition will apply to public company. Point 1 is there, that is applicable to only private company. Means first they should pass ordinary resolution in general meeting, and they should issue one circular. That circular should contain detail of financial position, credit rating, total number of depositors, amount due towards deposits, previous deposit, any that amount, any if at all due is there, that also should be disclosed in that circular. Deposit accepted and other particulars as may be prescribed. This circular copy should be filed with ROC prior to issuing of circular, within 30 days of before issuing the circular, 30 days before issuing of circular. Filing a copy of the circular with ROC within 30 days before the date of issuance of circular. Means only for accepting amounts deposit from members, these provision will apply. One more thing, 20% of the amount which is going to mature in next year should be deposited in separate account called deposit repayment reserve account. That should be deposited next within 30th of April. Within 30th of April, which is suppose example in 23 it is going to mature some around 100 crores. Minimum 20% of that 20 crores should be deposited in separate account by 30th of April of. And one more condition in clause E, certifying that company has not defaulted in repayment of deposit in the past, either before or after commencement of act. Means when accepting deposit from members, the company should not be defaulted in the repayment of such deposits, either from the commencement of act or prior to commencement of act. Or if any default is committed, that should be made good and 5 years should be lapsed from that. And if for accepting deposit from member, if any security given by company, then it is secured deposit. If no security or partial security is given, then it is a unsecured deposit. In case of private company, clause A to E of subsection 2 shall not apply. For that I given color, green color, only 1 and F. Only 2 clauses will apply to private company. Rest will apply to public company. And to get this benefit, again government issued a notification the private company should satisfy these conditions. One is 100% of the paid up share capital, procedures and security claim. Maximum to that extent, the company can accept deposits from members. How much? 100% of paid up capital plus procedures plus security claim. And which is a startup for 5 years from the date of incorporation. One more, which is not an associate or subsidiary of any other company. All these conditions should satisfy that to claim that exemption. Private company exemption is there. No? All these notification conditions are there. That should be satisfied. All these details should be filed in Form DPT3. This one to be filed with RC in Form DPT3 on or before 30th June of every year, which is deposit or not deposit. As in 31st March, we need to file return in the form of DPT3. This is punishment or penalty on company. In addition to the payment of the amount of deposit, interest, whatever the amount defaulted, that amount plus interest plus penalty. Fine minimum of 1 crore or twice of the amount of deposit so accepted, whichever is lower, which may extend to 10 crores. On company, this is penalty, and again on officer also it is one more penalty is there, which default imprisoned up to 7 years, and with fine not less than 25 lakh, which may extend to 2 crores. Then who is officer in respect to company? Anyone? Officer in respect to company.
Any person who has key management process.
Correct. And executed orders. Both are officer in respect to company. Minimum of 25 lakh and 2 crores. And if it is intentionally or fraud, then it is liable for prosecution under 447. Separate again version is there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge. Now let's take a tea break for 15 minutes. Today, CA Jagdeep sir, and introduce him to our audience.
Good evening, everyone. I am Mahesh. I am here to introduce CA Jagdeep sir. Jagdeep sir is a young chartered accountant who qualifies in CA Finance in November 2020. He did his articleship from Pagdichan Singavi, Ballari. He is also 1.5 year post articleship experience. Filed to internal audit and automobiles. After qualifying, he has joined consultant Mr. Pagdichan and Singavi, and practicing in areas of consultancy, audit and taxation. Is enthusiastic about teaching and helping CA students subject of law and taxation, inter and final level. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
deep sense of gratitude to the managing committee for the opportunity. Thank you for the young gentleman for the warm introduction also. Before I begin, one very quick, very basic, doubt. What is full form of GST? Good night, sweet dream, take care. No.
No, sir.
What is GST full form?
Good service tax.
Goods and services tax. Now, let us say you are in a business of selling plastic water bottles. Point number one, is plastic water bottle liable to GST? Alright? Not mineral water, plastic water bottle, this one. Plastic items liable to GST? Yes. Now, you do a turnover of 500 crores. I bless you. You do 500 crore turnover in one what? Month. Okay. And you do this for 12 months. 12 into 500 is how much? 60,000. 6,000 or 60,000? 500 into 10, 5,000 into 10, 50,000. That is why they tell study maths in CPT. Okay? No, in 60,000 crores के ऊपर 5% GST is how much? 6 paisa? 30. 3,000 crores GST you don't pay. What do? You don't pay GST. You don't file returns. You don't pay GST. The question is, will the department keep quiet or will it come back hunting at you?
It will come.
Will it come back at you? Yes. How will it come? What do you have to do when the department comes to you? This, ladies and gentlemen, is today's seminar. Welcome to you. We will see how will the department send notices, the different type of notices that the GST department can send to you, and how you can respond to them. First of all, how will they send a notice? What does a notice mean? What does a notice mean? Have you ever received a notice from your school for payment of fees? So what does a notice mean? They're intimating to you about something. Last bench. Balcony seats. Where are your popcorns? Not there, sir. So what do you mean by notice? One intimation letter that is sent to you. Now, how will that notice be sent to you according to law? That is more important. Have you seen a movie called Three Idiots? Pakka?
Yes.
In that Chatur, before the day of the exam, he will send one magazines downside the door and run away. Can the GST officer send notice like that? No. The GST officer meets you in Reliance Supermart. There he will tell, take this notice, this belongs to you. Can he give it to you like
No,
that?
sir.
No. You have come here. Where is the GST department, by the way? Yeah, so you come here for CA event. There the officer sees you. Hey, wait, come here. Take this notice and go. Can he send the notice to you like that?
No, sir.
No. 2018, one fantastic judgment has come in Income Tax Act, but it is squarely applicable to GST also. Just because the notice was not sent properly, Supreme Court invalidated, the GST High Court invalidated the proceedings. Now whatever slide you are seeing, no, it is not a normal slide. It is a subject matter of one Gujarat High Court judgment. Notice has to be sent properly. Now what do you mean by properly? One, deliver by hand, take acknowledgement. Deliver where? At his place of business. Where?
Place of
At his place of business. Second, post or speed post or courier. Condition attached is acknowledgement due. What do you mean by acknowledgement due? Yes, he is trying to say something, but you can please be a bit louder or you can take a mic.
Receipt, sir.
Yes,
You
receipt of what?
should sign it and give it.
They'll have to give it, sign it and give. That is called as what? Acknowledgement due. 3. Email. Email on, I mean like, which email ID? On the one that is registered on the portal. So let's say outside my shop I have a very big banner. Let's say I am into selling clothes, Jagdeep Fashions. There I have written my email ID as 123@gmail.com on the board. Notice on the shop ka name plate. Whereas on my GST registration portal, my email ID is 567@gmail.com. Notice should be sent to which ID?
567 at Gmail.
567. If it is sent to 123, notice is invalid.
Invalid.
Then uploading on GST portal. Have you ever tried it to log into GST portal? Pakka? Yellow color? Which color portal is? Blue and white. Okay? So if you log into the portal, there you have pending communications. This technology was then borrowed into income tax also, where all e-proceedings, etc. you can see. There also you can send a notice. Last two are, something that is not used regularly, but they are Vijay Mallya cases. Do you know where Vijay Mallya is? Even if you know, can you reach him? No. In such cases, these two options are available. What are the two options? One, in the regional newspaper you published. Sir, we are not able to track you. According to us, 30 crore GST you have to pay on the bottle sales that you have made. Please pay. Point number one. Point number two, affixing the notice on the taxpayer's last known place of business. Correct? This is borrowed from the CRPC, Criminal Code Procedure. A woman cannot be arrested with a male officer, no, after 6 o'clock. So what they will do? They'll paste that on the board, on the house gate. Have you seen that movie, Surya Ka? Jai Bhim? You remember? What will happen? They'll post the notice, the woman should not exceed the house after 6 p.m. Tomorrow morning 9 o'clock, one lady constable will come and pick. That concept they have brought here, fixing it on the notice. First letter that you will get, or first notice that you will get, is for non-filing of return. First of all, what do you mean by returns? Mummy returns? No. Then what? GST returns. What are the two basic returns that have to be filed every month?
1 and 3B.
3B and
1.
3B you will have to file on 11th, R1 you will have to file on 20th, correct?
GSTR 1 on 11th.
GSTR 1 is 11th.
11th.
That will have all details of input supplies. Okay. Sales.
Output.
Then 3B,
20.
input supplies and
20.
output supplies. Fine. If you don't file, then?
Notice.
If you don't file, then what?
Notice.
How many of you have cleared inter? How many of you are like studying inter? Okay, so can you please give me word by word quotation of section 60 of CGST Act? What do you mean by best judgment? What do you mean by best judgment? If you don't file returns, what they'll do? They'll send one notice, obviously. In that notice, what they'll do? They'll do a best judgment assessment, correct? Ever understood this? What do you mean by best judgment? According to me in the sense, the officer of the CGST, I think this much tax you have to pay. If you think your liability is different to the extent that it is supposed to be nil or less, you have to come and prove that this is your liability within these many days that is specified in the notice. These are the type of notices that you get if you do not file your returns. So, chartered accountants, what is the advice that you are going to give your clients? Please file returns properly. Which are the returns that you will have to file? R1 under section 37, 3B under 39, 44 under annual return section 44, section 45, final return, the last goodbye before you break up. Correct? See, curiously, what is the section number under which return notice is sent? 46, 37, 38, 38 is this GSTR 2A which is not existent, therefore the section is also not valid. But whenever they want to restrict their input tax credit, they use that section. Government is also very smart, just like you. Now, in 39, we have 3B, 44 annual return, 45 final return, 46 department will come at you. Sir, please file return if you are not filed. What is the response the moment you get a notice? First of all, when you get a notice, what does your client do? He has a mini heart attack. He thinks all his property will be taken away by the department, correct? No. But according to the, that's just, how do you respond to it in a professional capacity? You will have to first file the returns. If there is a delay, a late fee will be there. What is the late fee?
50 per day.
Rupees 50 per day. This is only for CGST. For SGST? Again 50. For IGST,
100.
not there. Okay, this is a trap question. CGST how much?
50.
50. SGST how much?
50.
IGST?
Not there.
0. Let us say you make a 9-day delay. How much day?
9 days.
9-day delay. In CGST how much you will pay?
450.
450. SGST? 450. Chalo. If reply is not given, then best judgment will be done. Best judgment ka reply actually will come in notice. That's the beauty of how notices will come. Okay? Type of GST notices. Is it visible? If it is not visible, let me know. I'll read it out for you. I'll read it anyways. Okay? If you don't file 3B, then send notice in 3A. GSTR 3A. You must be surprised by the weird chronology, right? If 45 return was not filed, notice came in 46. If 3B return is not filed, the notice should come in 3C. Why it is coming in 3A? When the Act was introduced on 1st of July 2017, 3B, 2A, 2B was not conceptualized. They thought everybody will upload R1, that will automatically come in 2, 3 will automatically be populated. This is what the conceptual clarity was. If you don't believe me, don't believe me. Please go to the Kelkar Task Committee recommendation 2005. Which standard you were in 2005? Madam, 2005 which standard? 6th standard. So then something had happened. You must look it up, okay? Alright? Why 3B? Why notice will come in 3A? Because that was the section. 3 they thought everybody will file return. If not, in 3A we will give a notice. What notice? This is a default notice for those people who are not filing their return. How much time they'll give? This column. How much days? 15 days. What do you have to do? In 15 days you will have to file your return. If you do not file, consequences of non-response. I mean, sir was discussing in law, one, they'll expect compliance from you. If there is non-compliance, there are penal consequences. Penal consequences can involve monetary compliances and free boarding and lodging. Okay? What do you mean by free boarding lodging? Jail, prisons. Right? Then CMP 05. What is a composition scheme? You have composite registration clients with you. What do they do? What is the difference between a normal client and a composition client?
He can offer composition.
Sir, that fellow comes every month, sir. This fellow comes 3 months once, sir. What is that? Return filing is quarterly. For whom? Composition. For normal?
Monthly.
Here, CMP 05 is not relating to returns per se, but it basically asks you a question: why, or rather, what makes you eligible for composition scheme? What makes you eligible for composition scheme? November 2020, I think, 5-mark question, CA Inter, GST. Who can take composition scheme registration? Who cleared in IPCC? No, she'll not raise her hand. You only know? Yeah. Please tell the answer. Some criteria are there. Great. Next. What are the conditions, sir? For goods, there is separate. For service, there is separate. Yes. What is the condition for goods? How much turnover should be there? 1.5 crores. For services? For services, how much? No, there is no 5 or 10. There is round figures. That's the beauty of GST. That's your homework. Okay? Properly study which composition scheme is applicable for which dealer. Point number 3. REG 03. At the time of verifying the application of GST registration, if I as an officer have certain queries regarding the application that you have made over the digital portal, I will come and ask to you those clarifications. If I satisfy, if you satisfy me, then I will grant you a registration. I can only explain to you the notice. How to satisfy an officer, I cannot know. Understood? I can only tell you what is there in the law. Agreed? No doubts? Now, what are the queries that may be asked? Have you ever filed a GST registration application for any client? Yes. That is to be filed in manual or online? Online. What are the documents required?
PAN card.
Photo, PAN card, Aadhaar card, electricity, rent agreement, high quality, bank statement, bank passbook, etc. etc. Now, if he thinks, I mean, as I as an officer, if I think that something is missing, how will I communicate to you on WhatsApp? No, I'll have to send a notice. Notice in which format? GST REG 03. If you have paid attention, you must have seen how the names of the notices are also kind of, calibrated. CMP composition, REG for registration, RET for returns. So the three letters that are there in the notice, they deal with what the notice is all about. Okay? Then REG 17. REG 17 relates to what? It must be relating to registration. And this is how you should develop yourself as a consultant. Okay? What will a consultant do? The moment somebody gives you a notice, even without opening the notice, you must be REG 17. No, this notice is regarding cancellation. That's the kind of skills that you need to build as a chartered accountant going forward. Okay? REG 17 deals with why your GST registration should not be cancelled. You will have to give a reply. How will you give a reply? In REG 18. REG 18 में reply करने के लिए how much time is given?
15.
7 days. If you give a reply that is satisfactory, registration will not be cancelled. Or if you give a reply which is either not satisfactory or you don't give a reply at all, then what will happen? Registration will be pakka cancelled. REG 23. Show cause notice why the cancellation of GST registration must be revoked for the reasons that are laid down in notice. Registration is already cancelled. Why it should not be further cancelled? That notice will come in which format? GST REG 23. Then REG 27. This notice is now not more in existence. Why? Because when GST was coming, what is the date of enforcement of GST?
1st July.
Okay, 2 months. Right answer? ठीक. Now, on 30th of June, let us say, madam, there were 1 crore taxpayers in India. How many? 1 crore. How many were you? How many do you think were eager to come into GST? New system, some apprehension will be there, some people will be afraid, etc. Now, because of this, it may have so happened that few people may not have come into GST. They were doing business in VAT, they were doing business in central excise and service tax, but they were not coming into GST. How will you handle them? You will send a notice in this format, REG 27. How will a relative deal? You go to, let us say, Mysore. There are 2 Mausis for you. You attend, you go to one Mausi's house, other Mausi's house, you don't go. Will she keep quiet?
No.
First they'll call. उसके पास जा सकती, मेरे घर नहीं आ सकती, क्या हुआ? Same concept. If you can do business in VAT, why are you not doing business in GST? Please respond. Response in how much time? Prescription is not given. So I don't know. They want, this could be anything. No. Either the government wants to give so much time to the taxpayers that please reply whenever you want, or the government wants to send notice whenever it wants. In 73, 74 GST, when you see, there is a time limit. Right? 73 bona fide demand 3 years, 74 bona fide demand 5 years. Correct? Here, the time limit is not there. So this is very curious. I should have put all these yellow colors, but I'm very bad in PPT. My expertise is in Excel, so please bear with me. PCT 03, misconduct for GST practitioners. Anybody? Any practitioners here? No. You must be dealing with GST piece. Okay. So for them also, practitioners code of conduct is there. RFD means what? It must relate to refund. GST refund. Section 50. What do you deal with refund? I mean, when do you get refunds? In which instances? Whenever there is an excess ITC that is lying with you, whenever excess cash is there, you make an export supply, uska ITC is required, or you make an export supply on the payment of output tax.
I'm really sorry.
Subject to all those conditions, if you are making any refund application, and the officer has some query, then how will the officer communicate with you? WhatsApp? No, this one. Okay? So whenever somebody tells RFD 08 notice is received, what will you say?
Refund.
What will you do? You will open the working file of the application. Let us say, for an example, hypothetical example, you have not filed an application for refund. Can you get this notice? Why not, madam? Why not? Can you get tandoori chicken if you have ordered paneer masala? No. So if you have not filed the refund application, will they ask you queries regarding refund application? Absolutely not, no. Then ASMT 02. REG was for registration. CMP was for
Composition.
RFD is for refund. ASMT is for assessment. What do you mean by assessment? A general English meaning. I don't want definitions. What do you mean by assessment? Again, that's a taxation related definition. Basic. Risk assessment matlab kya? You want to climb a mountain. From this mountain you want to jump to another mountain. What do you do? You assess the risk. Yes, madam? Calculate the risk. So assessment basically is calculation. Now in ASMT 02, the department will ask you for certain queries in case of provisional assessment. What is provisional assessment? I either don't know what is the value of the supply or I don't know what is the rate of tax. Then what I will do? I will have to sell, no, because my customer will not wait and I don't know what I have to do. So I will issue a provisional invoice and I will apply for provisional assessment with ASMT 01. When I apply for provisional assessment, the officer will have to get back to me. Then when he will ask me further queries, he will ask me in GST ASMT 02. This form is very technical in nature, but there is one 4-paragraph section called section 60. You read that, you will understand this. Good to go? ASMT 06. Seeking additional information for final assessment. What did you do in earlier section? Provisional assessment. Now, final assessment. Will you get, engagement करके छोड़ देंगे या शादी भी करनी है? Tell even marriage also should happen, no, after engagement. So in ASMT 02, what did you do? Provisional assessment. How will you finalize that? By asking one more notice in ASMT 06. ASMT 10, I'll come up later because that's going to form a major chunk of today's discussion. All of you guys who can use computers, how many of you know how to use computers? Okay, so before September this year, all your principals are going to ask you to work on ASMT 10 only. So please bear with me until I reach that. ASMT 14, show cause notice for assessment under section 33, reasons for conducting the assessment on best judgment basis. Whenever a best judgment assessment has to be done, Constitution tells you that every time an assessment is being done, one opportunity of being heard has to be given. One opportunity of being heard has to be given. That opportunity of being heard will be given in accordance with ASMT 14. Reply has to be given within 15 days. In which notice? ASMT 15. Okay? ADT. ASMT was for what? Assessment. ADT will be for audit. How many auditors are there here in this class? In this seminar, all chartered accountants will become auditors. ADT 01 is the notice for conducting audit by GST authorities. This is the second big work that you are going to get before this year gets over. Departmental audit. Okay? Ever heard your principal or your senior talking about this in office? GST audit bandide. Heng barutte. ADT 01. Then there is something called RVN 01 It deals with revisional authorities. Very quickly, I'll explain this. Not something that we see on a day-to-day basis. Whenever an order is passed by one higher authority, and then the higher authority comes to a conclusion that no, the order that I have passed is either bad in law, or the facts have significantly changed, or it is detrimental to the interest of revenue, then what they'll do, they will revise their order. They'll do what? Revise orders. For this purpose, there is an authority called revisional authority, a CA final related concept. Therefore, we are not getting too much into it. There is something called as anti-profiteering committee in GST. What does this committee do? There is something called as GST rate. How many GST rates we have? Come on, GST rates. Percentage. 0%, 5%, 6%. What is the latest entry? 6%, then?
12.
No, don't time CGST. Put it total. 0, 5, 6,
12.
12,
18, 28.
and 28. Now in these rates, let us say there is a reduction in rates. Okay. You have 10 crores worth goods. On that you paid GST at what rate? 18%. Now the government tells from today you have to sell it at 12%. Will your selling price go down or no?
Definitely.
Obviously it must go down. Selling price in the sense, the final amount that is paid by the customer. To ensure that in those cases where the GST rate has gone down but prices have not gone down, there is a committee that will check whether this is happening or not. That committee is called as what? Anti-profiteering committee. Profiteering means making profit out of government money. Anti means stopping them from doing. What do our local aunties do? They stop us from doing something. If you are saying this, what does anti mean? Anti-corruption drive. What does anti-corruption drive mean? Promoting corruption or stopping corruption?
Stopping.
Anti-tobacco means
Stopping.
stopping tobacco. What do you mean by, let's say, anti-profiteering?
Stopping.
Yes. DRC 01. Demand and recovery challan. They'll demand, they'll recover in one challan. That challan is called as what? DRC 01. You'll have to pay DRC 03. How many of you have filed DRC 03 till date? 1. Why was it, madam? Annual returns. Fantastic. Everybody else? Nobody? Whatever short payment is there in GST, that payment has to be done in which challan? DRC. DRC stands for Demand and Recovery Challan. I told you, no? If you read the title of the notice, you must know what the notice is all about. That's the kind of preparation that you must have, both for exam and also for your professional consulting career. DRC 10 and 17 relates to auctioning of goods. In section 69 of CGST Act, there is this provision which deals with inspection, search and seizure. You inspect. If that is not sufficient, you do all searching work, and then you seize the goods. Once you seize the goods, two options will come. You ask the taxpayer, this much goods I have seized, please come pay tax and take the goods away. That is one option. Second option is, when the taxpayer doesn't come, what will do?
Option.
You have to make tax recovery. Point number 1. Point number 2, you cannot keep the goods lying in GST department. What will you do? You will
Auction.
sell it. How will you sell it?
Auction.
By auction. So that auctioning process is done under DRC 10 and 17. DRC 11 is in continuation to that auctioning process. To the successful bidder, DRC 11 we will inform that, sir, you are the highest bidder, this day you come, pay this much amount, take these goods away and go. DRC 13, notice of recovery of outstanding tax from a third person. Bank attachment notices. What is bank attachment? I have to pay tax and I have not been paying tax. I have a bank account. The government will ask me 10 times, I did not pay. Okay, what will the government do? Will it keep quiet? No, it will go to the banker. What will the bank, they'll say, look sir, this one person, you owe this money to this one, but you pay it to me. Why? Because that money actually belongs to the government. Whatever he owes, this is what tax means, right? First charge against your property. Whatever money you have, if you have tax liability, whatever money you have, in that first share will go to whom?
Tax,
To the
yeah.
government against the tax that is due by you. When the government, the department will send a notice to the banker, it will send in which format? DRC 13. If your client calls and tells, sir, bank phone ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು DRC 13 ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತೆ. So what is your red light? In
Bank
your
statement.
brain, one red light should go off, like an alarm goes off. DRC 13 means what? Bank
Statement.
attachment. Immediately ask for a restrainment order. What do you mean ask for a restrainment order? Sir, please let us know. We were into some hospital, marriage, COVID, something was there. Therefore, your notices we did not respond. Please give 3 days. We will respond to your earlier notices. Whatever payment we have to make, we will make. Restrain your order that is given in DRC 13. How will you tell this? By DRC 14. Right there, Baba. Reply or action to be taken in DRC 14. Then DRC 16. Attachment and sale of movable or immovable property under section 79. Section 79 talks about modes of recovery. It talks about what? Modes of recovery. There is one team in IPL that doesn't win the cup only. What's the name? You told, I did not tell. Okay? Clarification. Now, who is the owner of that company? Or the ex-owner? Vijay Mallya. In his case, what did they do? How did they recover the money that was about to come from him? By selling of the properties that were owned by him. What is it? A mode of recovery? No. He has jewelry, sell that, give to bank. He has properties, sell that, give to bank. He has private yachts in Mangalore, sell that, give it to bank. What is it basically about? Modes of recovery. These are the different type of notices that we have seen. The list is not exhaustive. There are so many other notices. Okay? Any good GST reference material or rather any good book that deals with GST rules, not the act. There will be book for act and there will be book for rules. Any book on rules, you will get all the notices including the format. There are some formats that we will discuss today. But are you with me till here? Want a break? Take a deep breath. Chalo. Too much break is also not important. The flow gets cut. No? Steps that have to be followed when replying to any notice. Okay? First, check whether the notice is valid and correct. It was sent to, let us say, how do you put this? It was sent to Samiksh. The notice came to Samiksha. Samiksha is worried and started to reply the notice. Is it required?
No.
No. Why? First check does the notice belongs to you. When a 2000 rupee note falls, do you think it is yours?
No.
No, you just take it and keep it in the pocket. In notice, you don't have to do that. You'll have to first check the validity and the correctness. How do you check the validity? First slide, whether the notice is received validly or not. If the notice is not received validly, do you have to respond?
No.
No. Why? The receipt itself is not valid. Second, analysis of the notice. What is the allegation? What is the response that is sought? This is the two basic analysis. No. What they have told. Show cause notice matlab what? How do you look at show cause notice? If they are 100% sure that you've done a crime, they'll send you demand notice. Okay. There's a movie called Pokri. You've seen it? Pakka? Then Mahesh Babu tells, मेरे को सिर्फ doubt आया बोल के तेरे को इतना मारा हूँ. If I get sure, I'll take you to jail बोल के. You remember in that market he hits him by putting a cover. That's the difference between a show cause notice and a final notice. In show cause notice, he thinks that you've done something wrong. Therefore, he makes an allegation and tells, according to me, these are the 10 things that you've done wrong. Please come and explain to me. So the allegation, the ilzam, so to speak, is given in the notice, and then you'll have to see how response have to be done. Third, collection of data. All 17, 18 notices are coming. Accountant has changed, CA has changed, proprietor has changed. Proprietor cannot change, otherwise two things will pakka change. Location has changed, laptop is lost, file is not available, so first find all that. Okay, no? That's the thing. If they ask you a query regarding last month's return, you'll very immediately tell. But if they ask you a query for 5 years ago, you'll first have to struggle with where the information is. Collection of data, that data which refutes the allegation, supports our argument and is legally valid. Presentation tips. 1. All the queries will have to be answered. Correct drafting. Please give reference to legal case laws. Okay? Wherever it is necessary, whichever case law you think supports your argument, make a reference to that case law. If any paragraph in that judgment is well written, you may quote the judgment paragraph also. Make sure it is relevant. Don't unnecessarily drag the response also. And then chronicling and approval. You've prepared a good notice, you've prepared a good reply, great. But make sure that it is approved by your seniors in the office. Then submission. How do you do the submission? First of all, do it within the time that is given. And second, take an acknowledgement. How do you take an acknowledgement?
First.
OC copy. Simple, no? If you send on mail, acknowledgement is already there. If you make a physical submission, make sure that stamp and seal is received on the office copy and you keep it with you. This is the big headache now for two reasons. There are some budget related amendments, and then there is this circular that came in 13th February 2022. Okay? R1 and 3B, my sales turnover should always match. What if it doesn't match? No, it should match is a very fantastic argument, no doubt. What if it doesn't? Sir, how can it not match, sir? I'll give one example. In March, I have April to February, 50 crores bottle sales every month. 50 into 11, 550 crores. March, lockdown. No sales, only sales returns. Where will you show in R1? And no B2B, only B2C. In 3B you will show because you want to show the reduction in output liability. Where will you show in R1? So R1 and 3B mismatch is always going to happen, madam. Don't think that, no, R1 nodi madidre 3B mistake agalla anta. The system is designed in such a way in some cases. See, 99% the mistake is either clerical or you getting to know late. Right? You made an invoice, you don't know. Let's say you have 3 branches. 2 branches ka input you took and you filed R1. 3rd branch ka accountant wakes up now on 12th morning, sir, mardo bitte sir. Then what will you do? That could also be a reason. Point number 1. Point number 2, 1st of January 2022, government GST department gave a beautiful gift. What was that? Relating to ITC, 1st January 2022, what was the amendment? Yes, again. Input should be taken only as per 2B. If it is not there in 2B, no input. You did not know this notification. You took excess input. What will happen? See, why I am telling you all this is, I will come to that circular. Return scrutiny is system driven. There is not an officer sitting and doing it. They have invested so much in big data and analytics and machine learning, AI. All that you need to do is you need to file that OTP, take OTP from your client and file the return. In half an hour, the department has the detailed, when they see marriage, what do they call that? Horoscope. Kundli, Jatak Patra, sab rehta hai unke paas in half an hour. This much you should have taken, this much excess you have taken, this much notice is payable, they'll send it. Okay? So whenever scrutiny returns is coming, what you have to do? Understood, no? Introduction. Returns you have filed, uska scrutiny is happening. You have not filed returns only, can you get a notice?
No.
No, why? I'll get what I've ordered. If I've ordered something and if I get something else, is it possible? No. This will come in ASMT 10, which I have showed you there. Only in those cases where the return is filed, explanation has to be given in 30 days. Explanation satisfactory or unsatisfactory. If the explanation is unsatisfactory, tax determination will happen in 73 or 74. Let us see this step by step. What are the issues that will come in scrutiny of returns? Are you with me? Can we proceed? Okay. First thing, as I mentioned, is the difference between R1 and 3B. R1 में invoices ज़्यादा है, 3B में कम है. Then, is that a problem? Imagine, no, in R1 your liability is 1 lakh, in 3B your liability is only 80,000. Will the department accept 3B as final or will it say R1 is final? This is a Finance Act 2021 budget amendment, where they have told R1 is a liability now. What once was just a return, not even a return, it was a statement of outward supplies. If you see the original title of GSTR1, it was the statement for furnishing outward supplies. Now it has become your liability. So what you'll have to do, you'll have to first see what is the reason. Extra, if I have unnecessarily put any invoice in R1, you'll have to call your vendor के boss, तेरे नाम का invoice I have sent in R1 unnecessarily. Please give it to me in writing that you have not taken an input. I will take that along with me to the officer and tell, sir, this excess input is not claimed by my recipient, and accordingly I will have to reply to the notice. Agreed? Can I move ahead?
Yes.
Okay.
Are the students will come and join?
Yeah, please. Okay. Okay. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Okay. Now the question is this. There were 2 invoices or other 3 invoices. 40,000 ka one invoice. Let's make this 120. No? Okay. There was invoice number 1, 40,000. There was another invoice 40,000. There was another invoice 40,000. Now this third invoice was mistakenly added in R1. Can happen? How it can happen, sir? There are 2 accountants. One fellow told, you do this. He told him the other person to do, but he did not trust him to do, so he did it. The person to whom the job was given, he unfortunately turned out to be a good person. He also did the job. So now how many invoices you have?
3.
1 extra invoice. When doing 3B, the accounts manager came, he said, no, R1, we just looked at the sales register, there is only 2 invoices. He punched it away. Now, what is the crisis? How many invoices we have?
4.
In R1, how many invoices we have? 3. But how much invoice actually has gone to customer? 2. So what you will do? You will take a underwriting from the customer, asking him, boss, please give it to us in writing that you have actually received 2. 1 excess invoice has mistakenly come to you. You have not claimed any ITC on that particular invoice. That's how you make a reconciliation format. Okay? Chalo, we'll break for tea and then we'll come back. Thank you.